Okay, so a call to order. Do I have to hit the thing? I don't know. Call to order. Does anybody want to offer prayer? We'll have a moment of silence. And Marley Pledge.
Okay, let's all stand. So we'll say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the first thing we have is the approval of minutes for last February. I was not here unfortunately, and it said that there was a discussion about the money for Parks and Rec. What is that amount?
I'll have to look through my notes to find them again.
Okay.
I'll let you know. It was probably in the notes that I typed and gave to you. I would think I would not have missed that.
The dates were picked, but we still need to pick movies, right?
No, we have the movies, we have the
Already done
dates,
too.
we have the places.
Does it look good to everyone that was here for the meeting, for the minutes?
So I take a motion to approve, make a motion to approve the minutes for February 8th, 2024. Anyone second? Second.
Okay, public comments, is this for?
She's here for a presentation on the town square.
So under old, so next,
7B.
okay, so we'll go to new business, Columbia Crossing Annual Report. Yes.
Thank you.
And then this is just a follow-up, this is a section of the agreement between SNHA and the Borough of Columbia.
Okay.
Understand by our answers for the If I recall, in February, there was a couple of questions and a changeover on our board here.
Okay.
I wasn't really going to speak so much to the report. I mean, you guys have it laid out there in front of you. We did present it to the borough in January. But if you have any questions about it, I would be happy to answer them.
So your main focus for being on Parks and Rec is Columbia Crossings.
It would appear, according to the agreement, which was pre-written before I was in this role, that a lot of our role here on Parks and Rec seems to be reporting and answering questions and offering support.
Okay.
Get an idea of what programs we run, you know.
How do you guys log visitors? How do you guys log visitors?
We log visitors, so every day we have a visitor log that we fill out that takes down the date, weather conditions, and then we physically have a counter that the person running the front desk, the whole time that they're sitting there, anytime somebody walks in, we click all adults and children, even if the children aren't carriers, but adults.
So if they enter the building, if they're just on the park, are they still counting?
We only count them if they come into the building, so.
So the number would be higher.
Visitors.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And our doctors certainly get values. Yeah, absolutely. For example, over the weekend, we had hosted the Ravens Raven Ridge Wildlife Center's wildlife baby shower. We see 498 people through the building that day. So that's just one of
And is Columbia Crossings also part of the project planning for phase 3?
So we do, there are members, some staff from Columbia Crossings, me and myself, that are on the River Park Committee. The River Park Committee is in charge of anything that has to do with the plan for the park, the master plan, making changes, implementing.
So that has its own.
It does, it's an ad hoc, I believe, that they decided was going to continue even after the project is complete and restored.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, the most recent meeting was just, I think last month, just like 2 weeks ago.
Will you be like explaining or updating what comes out of those meetings, or is someone else going to present things as they come up from there?
I don't know if I'm the best person for the role of that. Mary does a really great job. I'm not sure what her title is, and to be honest, I think she might be the one best on that, but I can certainly provide some insight on what is being talked about in these meetings.
I think it's an ad hoc committee, it's an ad hoc to Borough Council. And Mary submits reports to Borough Council monthly and we read them.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
I'm still quite a novice to all the bureaucracy.
Me too, and it's only been 2 years.
So it's going to take me a while then.
I think Nora wanted to say something or ask something.
Answer that question. I looked at that agenda, because I'm gonna go, and there was no agenda online for that committee, that meeting the other week. So that was, I know it's something, that's why your meeting wasn't last month. So I think that's for, and Eric had mentioned before he left, the other month, that maybe that ad hoc committee was gonna cease and become rolled into this committee.
There were some talks about that, but I don't think that that's the consensus.
No,
Oh, was it talked about this, among this committee?
it's been talked about for the last couple of years. I think the River Park Advisory Team wants to keep it just the way it is. They don't want it to melt into this.
But you guys have the freedom to not have like the Sunshine Act and stuff. Is that in the way of that meeting, or do you guys get to
I'm not
communicate?
sure because I'm just new here to the bureaucracy of those things. I'm not sure what it is required to do as an ad hoc committee. I imagine it probably is.
It is, yes.
I don't fulfill those types of roles.
Okay.
It's not televised.
Was it just a few weeks ago, or was it like in March?
One second. March 28th.
I will double check and see if it was posted.
Sorry, I don't have more information.
Oh, no, I was like, I have enough meetings, but I was going to go to it because I was curious. And I also know that that committee has not changed much since it was started, so it may be, I've never seen them ask for new members or anything like that, so that, that's always good, having people, but, anyway, just for what it's worth, I know it wasn't on the Borough website.
And then the final question, the difference of the revenue and the expenses for 23, where does the extra come from Parks and Rec? Is that something you might know more?
It would not come from Parks and Rec. It would come from borough money that has been designated to River Park.
And you can see that there's a drawback of that now that we're receiving federal funding.
Yeah, I did. I was looking at that. I'm okay. Thank you for that information.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, with me moving into my new role at SMHA, some of this is new to me too, so I appreciate it's great. You're doing great.
Yeah, you are.
Discuss voting on team leaders for each park. Maple, Rotary, Town Square, River, and McGinnis Parks. So I kind of came up with an idea that kind of stemmed off of part of the reasons we lost some people that were with us last year for Parks and Rec. They felt that it was stagnant. We couldn't really get a whole lot discussed. we're not able to really communicate about things, or we don't know how to go about communicating about things without the recommendation of like the Sunshine Act. And back then it was brought up, well, maybe you guys just meet 2 people at a time and go talk about the park, and then bring it back to the council. And nothing like that seemed to stem out from the people that we had available, whether it was due to time availability or I would say that would probably be the main issue was time availability. And also not including, it didn't feel like we were including the community output and getting it to the level that we could get it. We did a QR postcard to try to reach out to the community, did not go over very well, not a whole lot of results came in. We discussed going door to door, that's not something that we've tried yet, but I do know that there's a lot of foot power that has to go behind that. So my idea behind voting on team leaders for each park would be getting 2 members from the board to be able to address specifically that park on their times between our meetings. Not just with the 2 members from here, but a community member that is in the area of that park or has a connection to that park. I didn't bring that paper with me, but do you remember his name, John Howard or something that Mark was telling us about?
You mean the descendant of who
Yes.
Maple Park is named after?
Yes.
I don't have that with me now.
So that's something I would want to reach back out to Mark for is not only his contact information. They had an interest in memorializing a family member who the park was named after within like the welcome sign or some part of the park when it gets redone. But finding people like that who have a connection to the park, Kurt Edmond is another one. He used to be on the park board here, but again, things felt really stagnant. So trying to create team leads to meet with specific community members. So within Kurt's community, for example, he could connect to the churches in that area. There's something about a 501(c) that's needed for getting donations into the borough. I know there's like limits on how close churches and the borough can work together, so I'm not sure what's going to get in the way of that. But basically, Kurt knows the community there, who's interested in taking reins of the park and getting it back to what it was used to be like growing up when we had kids' activities in the park, whether it was crafts or games set up and things like that. Not only that, but to have them reach out to that community to get the planning. So we have a master plan for Maple, but I was told it's not the final plan. Like there's still material choices. There's still like, are we going to sell bricks? Are we going to sell benches? Are we going to do planks around the little parks for the kids? Things like that I don't feel like we get to really talk here at this meeting. So the idea behind voting on whether or not we choose people, it comes from that, is trying to get past the stagnant of feeling like we're not getting anywhere or moving forward in any way. The parks that we have listed, Maple, Rotary, River, Town Square, and we would also add McGinnis on here because that's coming up in the future too. Does anybody have any thoughts that they want to share on that? Either good, bad, indifferent?
I mean, just speaking from myself, I mean, it just depends on how much of a time commitment will be involved, just because I have like, Randy to come in, like that was, I have a boy this the rest of the year around alcohol, like hands-on, just, I don't know if I'd be able to take that lead, you know what I mean? So it would just give you time, but I do love the idea of having like one, having a person that people can reach out to and make them work and kind of get things moving. I love it. This might be redundant, but just for clarity purpose, we want the community input on ways to fundraise and programming and other elements of the park complete, and that's the community involvement.
That's part of it. Now they've said that this plan was created and already pulled from the community. I don't know, I wasn't part of that. I don't know when that happened, but we had a timeline before, I think 5 years ago or more.
Yeah, it was definitely pre-pandemic.
Right,
Yeah.
and I don't know how much input really came in from the community, or even if those numbers are available. I see the basic layout of the plan, but really, who did it come from? Did it come from people in chairs like this that don't really use the park, or did it come from?
To make sure that this is a community approved.
I was a part of it, and we went out into the community. We had community meetings at churches, we had it at the vet clinic. We spent a lot of time getting community input, and the plans were developed from that.
So since it's basically, already done, like what input are they on to give the plan?
That's kind of how I felt, other than the materials. The only thing, like, her and I sat with Mark a little bit, and just comes down to like the details of it. The court could be a multi-use court instead of a half basketball court. Again, the bricks or the benches, the pavilion, do we put a plaque up there? How much is that gonna be for whoever gets the plaque? Or the benches, how much are the benches gonna be? So it's finding someone in that specific community that can be 503C related, and Vets is the closest one to Maple, for example, or even VFW. Maybe I feel like the borough would be more willing to work with them rather than faith-based organizations. So somehow just creating people who have time that can connect, because as we have all this, we meet at this, but outside of here, there's a lot going on and we don't get to kind of go over these things. And it's really making recommendations to borough. It's still not even, it's not that we get the ideas and we approve them. It's, do we feel like it's a good enough idea to take to the council borough? So it's still a whole nother step in the process, but it's a step that we ourselves over the last year have proven to not be able to move forward with.
In February, we talked about that we wanted to take government control and get away from it and let the people in the neighborhood take responsibility for their parks. So we kind of just, instead of having an ad hoc where they're answerable to us and they have to have minutes and all that, to just encourage people in the neighborhood to start their own committee, come up with their own ideas and suggestions, and then bring them here to us, and we can either approve them or not approve them, send them to council or not. To me, I think that's the best way to go, because I don't have any more time.
I'm new to the Maple Park thing. I have followed and heard some things over the last year. Is there a place for me to check out and see what it is that, where we're at, what needs to be decided? Is there a place I can check that out?
Yeah, the plans are on the borough website. So if you go under Parks and Recreation, there'll be plans that you can look at on Maple Park. And these were plans that had to be submitted in order for us to be approved for the grant.
And then anything that Parks and Recs is planning will be back in our minutes and notes, then that I could look back and be
Yes,
up to speed on this conversation. Go ahead.
yeah, and just to give you like a timeline, they don't even expect groundbreaking to be until next year. So it's not like we have,
Yeah,
we
but
have to
that's
do
what we were
something right
told
now.
January of last year too. So like we specifically didn't use the park for the summer because we were told it was gonna get worked on, but nothing happened.
Well, we just heard this in council meeting on Tuesday. They don't expect groundbreaking till next year. And they said that everything, all the activities for this year are a go at Maple Park.
There is still money that we need to raise, correct?
Yes, well, need to raise, there is money that isn't covered by the grant. Was it 50,000, do you remember?
It's close to that.
50,000 around that has to come from somewhere. If we don't raise the money, the borough has to come up with the money somewhere. So as much as we can do to cover that amount would probably be good.
And when is the timeline that we have to have that? By the time when they break ground?
Are you used to working with grants, Laura? Do you know, when we get the money for the grant, do we have to have our portion up front?
Check your, every grant's a little different.
Yeah, we're
Sometimes
kind
it
of
has to be, sometimes it has to be, you're
I
right.
think
And
it's,
it sometimes can be that with the in-kind services, it doesn't have to be actual cash sometimes, so.
yeah,
Probably decent.
The borough
That's true.
and the contribution from the highway,
Yes.
The public works.
and the volunteers, that counts sometimes towards
I have a lot of information right here, ready to rock. If you know what type of grant it was, I can.
It is a DCNR.
Was it a
It is,
DCNR?
yeah. But I remember them saying that there's a lot of work that we can cover as a borough.
Without actual paying,
Yeah.
in service.
Right.
Is there a way that we can find out, like, I'm not just about that, but we can start coming up with ideas and like.
It looks like there's probably a timeline built into that paperwork that we should check.
And there's a,
I think if there's anything that we would do, it would be to get out into the neighborhoods and encourage them to become interested in their park and let them take the burden and move forward with the fundraising because they have the freedom to do it.
I like the idea of having team leaders communicating and maybe grab people of the community. I see how that could be helpful giving the roadblock section. I think there are some kind of trades and things maybe that we've done with time, but it seems like it's good to get your final community involvement.
yeah, and I can't say how much more time being a lead for any of these parks would add to anyone's schedule, but it would take effort, not necessarily a set amount of time, but okay, I'm gonna reach out to Kurt and John Howard, or I'm gonna reach out to whoever's surrounding Rotary, or whoever's surrounding River Park.
We make it a point to go to some of these programs and activities.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Being part of, whoever's the lead for River Park is at the events for River Park, whoever's the lead for, whichever space is actively coordinating with people like Town Square, the stuff we have going on about the fountain. Having a lead here that already knew about that stuff could have prevented us from making a recommendation for the fountain to not be here when we didn't have a whole lot of information other than it's costing a water bill and it's like $20 a month.
Certainly.
But what's
what about
great-
Nora and Sarah?
Yeah, what's great about this is that Nora is someone from the community who stepped up and
Exactly.
she's taken that responsibility out of our hands and she's making it a community effort. And I think it should be that way for all parks.
We certainly would have known your efforts in the project previously if there had been a
Contacts in place and things like that. Like Mark has a contact for the Maple person, and I don't.
He sent it to us electronically.
Okay, I'll have to
You
check
and I
and
were
find
both-
that again. I know he had the paper. Right, a list, and that too, like, okay, I don't know this guy, he doesn't know me from anything different, and he's apparently been reaching out to someone in the borough about what he wants to happen with Maple, but I didn't find out until I had a off to the side sit down with the borough.
Yeah.
So those kinds of connections would be important to know, like, who is already actively invested in that area? And then who of us can connect to each person who's actively invested in that area.
I know that no one deliberately doesn't pass on information.
Oh, right, I know
And
that.
we need to take responsibility and find out what we need to know in order to do our job effectively.
Right.
And I, for one, I will not commit to being a team leader to any of these parks if that makes a difference, because I literally don't have the time. Yeah.
The river park.
I mean, it's as long as there's no objections.
We would have to vote on it first to see if even choosing team leads, if we would approve of that. And then we would go to choosing who would have which park.
You could do like you are with me with the person from Maple, have them come to this meeting and officially ask them. to
That's the idea.
And they come here and you guys listen and we share as a community member and a citizen what we're seeing, what we're coordinating, and then you know all the information versus you have to spend any more time. You might come along, great, we'll come to clean up, we might come to the events, but then, and that's kind of all what Mark was saying from last time, is this, as someone who used parks as a kid, all these parks, it's because I grew up in them and I care about them, but right now what we're seeing a little bit different with, and I still live in the neighborhood, is I see the kids don't necessarily have that same connection. So that's where it concerns me with the, and I don't, from anybody here. It's just like, I don't see the kids using the park for a number of reasons. We're saying about how parents don't feel safe anymore. There might be kids there that are little, that they don't, aren't concerned about what's going on at the park. There's reasons why people don't go to the parks anymore, but that's not something you can overcome that, I think, but it's having that ownership. And then they also clean up the park. They do all the things voluntarily because it's their parks and they care about it. But that's where you have to make the community around the park, like you're saying, is care about the park. Because otherwise, you're going to invest all this money and you're going to watch the guy in the town square. No one touches it. I mean, it's maybe very few people touch it, but if it doesn't get used, then it's like, that's even a bigger thing that you're sad about. It's like, we just made this great park and there's no one here. Like, really? Like, you have to make it feel like they want to be there. And things have to be in the park that they want to use.
Right.
You can do all the things you want, but if the kids don't like what's there, it's not what the needs, it's not what they're interested in, they're not going to go to it. And you got to make it work for the community that's around. The river park, of course, is a huge success story, but that's because it was a lot of community input.
It has a lot of failures and flaws to get to.
And you're still learning, yeah. And you're adjusting, you have that ability, but you're down there every day. There's no park in Columbia that has that.
Keep restoring pride of place is the number one goal of Parks and Rec.
And I think
Thorough
Maple
investment.
Park is very close to that.
Oh, yeah.
I think we could get neighborhood investment in that real easily. I don't know about Rotary.
Well, as a kid, we used to have the playground association, so at least over the summer, there was staff at the different parks. That's how I learned to swim, and we used to have pet shows.
Yes.
We had knock hockey, they bring that out, like there was stuff going on, they turned on the hydrants on the hot days, and we ran through the hydrants. And so it's just really simple stuff, it was not expensive, it was just that they had staff that they hired over the summer, it was there, they helped coordinate activities for the kids, and it was very low budget, but it was the best time ever, like,
Where did the budget come from for that?
I somehow, I'm not sure if it was the JCs or it was the borough or.
Yeah, it
was a long time ago.
Yeah, because of insurance, that would have been someone in the community that had these day camps in the summer at the various parks. It's not something that the borough would have done because of the insurance.
Oh, yeah,
That it would have
they're
been.
immune from a lot of that stuff though, that would be, I mean, they really, as far as a public entity, they have more protection than any individual.
It'd be really great if we could get neighbors just, I mean, Kurt already does that.
But the playground
For some-
association is something that, as far as summer staff,
Yeah.
that the borough could look into having some staff that would run this
And
park.
Millersville University would have
Yeah,
some students who
yeah,
can.
interns from any of the colleges.
But it can't be us who plans it. It
No,
has to
no,
be,
yeah, but I'm saying it was done before, so, I mean, it was not anything complicated, it was very simple, and like I said, so much fun, and, most days that's where we're either there or at the swimming pool.
well, any more discussion? Should we vote or?
You can vote. So how do just call it, or anyone?
Does anyone want to make a motion to vote on team leaders for each park?
Does anyone make the motion to vote on team leaders for each park?
We should talk about it again, maybe with more of the group present and see what their thoughts and feelings are too, since we'll need to know, because we'll need them to decide if they can be leaders.
I'm already getting bad feelings because they don't want to be here already.
That's a good point.
No, Michelle is on vacation. Let's give each other grace. She weren't here in February, so.
I understand
We
that,
still
but
love you.
it's just difficult when we have professional council people on the board that don't really seem to want to be a part of it or even have the time to invest in it moving forward.
It does take away from our pride of place.
It does. It makes it harder for the people getting into it that are just starting out when we don't have leadership or willingness to.
Let's just try to
To
stay
do that.
positive, and I like the idea of bringing it up next month. Okay?
We did it for that.
No, do you agree? We'll talk again next month. I don't think we need to vote. This just isn't tabled yet. It'll be old business.
It still needs to be discussed, and feel
Yeah.
that's a good fit, and if we can commit to that. So if we can't commit to that,
Sounds
we
good.
shouldn't do it.
Old business, movies in the park. Update from Columbia Crossings.
The River Park would like to politely decline to host a movie in the park this summer. Maybe because of turnout, it just doesn't make sense for us.
Are there numbers that come into play for that?
Last year we had 12, and the cost of the movie, it just doesn't seem, for the cost of the movie, they say it's between 15 and, I mean, we would rather eat that budgeted money go to something.
Do you think it was because school is already in session?
September is tough because of that. I also think that River Park is a little bit separate from everything, that there almost needs to be something else going on for people.
Right.
When we did one and had it rather successful, spring in the park, there was like this whole event and lots of things happening at the same time, and then it ended kind of like this. So,
Yeah, in that sense, even after Fourth Friday, the movies in the park was not a lot of people. I don't know if that finance really makes that mark of attendees versus
seemed
funding.
really popular pre-pandemic, and when we were looking at it, I mean, just ethically spending that money just doesn't feel right for us.
So in your opinion, pre-pandemic, when there was a big turnout, what was the big draw? Was it just somebody a movie or?
I think there was a lot of camaraderie. Not only did they have movies, I don't know if you guys were around for any of it, but some of them happened down, like Coffee Creamy there, where they used to hold the circus. There would be free popcorn. There would be other activities, space painting and stuff sort of going on. And at that time, there wasn't Fourth Fridays and stuff in Columbia, so there wasn't really, there was a competition for the event. And I think being outside watching a movie was fun and refreshing. Now I think people think twice about it, being around all the people. I'm not really sure why suddenly it seems to be different. Maybe it's the streaming and the instant accessibility to all movies. I mean, even though these events are free, the fact that not a lot of people are It used to be held in conjunction too with Lions Club, or the Lions Club Music in the Park.
Yeah.
Which might have been some of the most successful years.
Right.
Yeah, just looking at that, it just seems that's how we came to our decision down here for Park.
And this is just a 1-year request to not be in it for now?
Hmm?
Is it just a 1-year request to not
It
be in
is
it?
to not do it this year. I think when we have another conversation about it, our recommendation would be to discontinue it based on that incumbents and costs. Put that effort into different programs.
Anyone else have thoughts on that?
Well, it's their right to lie, to show the movie. You know,
I would say it makes sense to not, so there's nothing scheduled already, right?
We had a date pulled, and we sort of were talking about picking a movie, but we didn't feel great moving forward, so we wanted to politely decline. If you guys Parks and Rec absolutely feels like there should be a movie at the park, we will participate, but that was just.
I'm just not, it's not that I feel like it should be for any specific reason, but I don't know how getting numbers from like what's going on with these other ones is gonna help you guys decide. Because it's gonna fluctuate again. Was it a Fourth Friday, and was it right here on Fourth and Locust, or was it after a Lions Club event? Like those
Numbers
things.
aren't for us, though, they're for you.
Yeah.
So do you want us to participate to offer those numbers?
I think the numbers from last year are good enough. I mean, I think you're right, it's September and, I'm okay with just doing June, July, and August.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
I mean, we thought that maybe that frees up some money to support some other things going on at the same time in tandem with, like popcorn, refreshments,
Okay.
we want to create a riff, we just didn't have enough yet.
No riff, no.
Additional activities on movie night and locations.
I can tell you this, that we've already sent the application for all public grounds for the Locust Street Club. So that's been approved for June 14th. Was it June 14th? Is that right? Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, Columbia Grounds. Yeah, June 14th. So that's been approved. And Don Murphy has been contacted about the 4th Street property. And he said, he said yes, he would love to host us for that. That's not finalized yet because he needs the paperwork from the borough. And then August, we were gonna do it at Maple Park. Nothing has been moved on that yet.
So is there a reason why we're not doing it on the park?
We had, well, I mean, were you here when we voted? We voted on, Locust Street, well, somebody, I asked about the 4th Street property, if it went well on the 4th Friday, and, because I didn't know, you guys all said yes, it went well.
It was a small count, again, it was a small count, but we had kids, we had, fish pickups, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then the other one is Maple, because they wanted to do a back to school thing there. And what's really great about the Father's Day weekend is that that's the same weekend as the car show. So people might be hepped up, we'll go to a movie and then tomorrow's the car show. So they might make it a whole Father's Day weekend. You never know.
Do we have the tables of meetings?
Yes, we do.
June 14th is game plan at Locust Street,
What is it?
game plan at Locust. July 26th is Meet the Robinsons at 4th and Locust. And August 23rd is Wonder at Maple Park.
So are we able to incorporate, edible garden in any of these events? Because I know that was a big action of,
Sylvia?
so, yes. Yeah, there, she wanted to do anything.
Yeah, the edible classroom is really a great program.
I think that and more, honestly.
Yeah.
I would say that and more, like whatever we could, if there's a face painter or, I don't know what else could exist in there, but,
Yeah, we just, I think something.
I suggest if you ever saw if you ever go through Hempfield when they're doing their movies, like if you go by Silver Spring Sparks, they have a sign and a sign and a sign and a sign. Movie night tonight. And this organization is called Banners on the Cheap. You can get those signs for like less than $20. They're just like signs that political people put out.
Yard signs.
Yeah, thank you. And they're not very expensive, and if, I don't know, as far as plagiarism goes, if we can actually put the name of the movie or
No, I
picture
think
or
it would be
something,
better to do Columbia Parks and Recs presents movies in the park than ever use that all the time.
and then just, yeah, and like tonight, and leave it at that.
I think that's a great idea. I feel like one of the biggest reasons that they don't turn out so well is we don't really have advertising to get it out there. Yes, social media, but not everybody's on social media, kind of stuff. So I think more placed advertisement would definitely be ideal.
I have some questions about that. I don't know how we're allowed to advertise, but can those things be listed on the regional calendars, like Explore York, Discover Columbia, Discover Lancaster? Do we write press releases ever for any of our programs to send to like the merchandise there? A lot of times they'll do free stuff like that because the community wants it. A lot of times those have no cost.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody is in charge of doing that. I do a lot of that. In the River Park, I could commit to doing that for this series of movies in a couple of key places. I think that would be free, so why not try?
Is River Park still doing, they had, I don't know if it was a pamphlet or brochure where all the happenings in Columbia was there. So is that already done for the year? Like, can you add this? These movie
We
nights?
print those on the back of the historic Columbian map. That is getting ready to go to print.
Uh-huh.
I could talk to Hope and see if we could just list, like, movies in the park,
Okay.
like Columbia Parks and Rec, and just like somewhere where they could find more information, so that way we didn't have to put a date up and it not be right or something like that. I can definitely ask Hope about that.
Okay.
We just removed, Columbia Railroad Day from the year because for some reason that isn't happening.
Oh, that's sad.
But we do that one every year, so that's a good opportunity to.
What do you think if on one of the nights, do you remember how, was it SOX who would come to the bridge bus and they would be live while people were on the bridge bus? What if we were to get somebody like that who would do their broadcast live at a Fourth Friday?
You
At our
can send
Fourth Friday
stories
one.
and request that, but you have to pay
Oh, you
for
do?
it if
Okay,
you
never
don't just
mind.
want to do it.
Okay.
I would
We can
say-
get people to come for some events.
I feel like Murphy already has somebody coming for that,
Oh, okay.
so maybe we can piggyback off of that, because we're in part of the Merchants Association, and when they had it last, I don't know, they got rained out, I don't remember, yes, when the movie, but they got rained out, but they had a radio person there, and like Katie went and did the invocation and everything, so
Okay.
maybe if they already have that in place, we can piggyback off of
That's a great
them being there.
I will ask the Merchants Association, see if they have that plan for that night.
And back to Rotary, is there any specific reason that we don't use that? Have we ever used it for movies in the park?
Not that, I don't know. It wasn't.
The original ones that were down there were always on the other side of the bridge, not in actual Berkeley Park. I have no idea. That's a good question.
Maybe that's something like
I
if,
could ask Robin Kennedy.
Yeah, I guess sometimes the parking's kind of really not pretty much.
Yeah.
that and Mako both, and partially they have no bathrooms. I know that's part of it. And they're kind of both out of the main area. Yeah.
It does seem like a dark taboo park. Put your life in your hands. Maybe giving special attention to Rotary Park somehow. In our conversation, see what we can do to boost that up a little bit this year.
That's something I'm hoping to do. Like, I want to keep in the agenda every park's name and something, whether it's, we have nothing right now, okay, fine, we're going to put that down. But just to keep every park listed that it gets touched on and not like left in the.
That's a good idea.
People more relevant.
So moving on from movies, everything's approved there, right? We don't have to vote on
Well,
anything.
what about, do you want to talk about any additional activities on movie night?
Whatever we can, I don't know who we would get and how we would get them, but yes, the food, the edible classroom, any animal people, face painting, I just don't know, where do we find those people? Who's
Do you have any
connected,
friends?
who's
Do you
connected
have
to
any
them?
networks or Parks and Rec friends or?
We have the edible classroom. We have-
They, yes, I have a card,
Should be our best friends.
Yeah.
I have a card from Edible Classroom from Angie, so I at least have her email, but this is regarding something else I want to touch base on before we finish, but, so we at least have that contact. Beyond that, I don't know.
I think that maybe, especially when it comes to Maple Park, that we should talk to the ladies at Common Meal. That's gonna open at the bottom of Lucas. They do a lot of bike workshops in Lancaster City and seem to just really want to help connect with kids. Maybe they already have a great idea on something they could add to the event. We've talked to them a little down at the River Park, and they seem really happy to get ready to work from home yet.
Yeah, they are. On June 14th and Father's Day, I wonder if someone from the library can come out and maybe do some book reading or some Father's Day cards.
Yeah.
Or-
Stations are.
Yeah, or with the car show the next day, maybe we could connect, I don't know, that somehow. What's the movie for that night? Game Plan.
When's the car show?
What is it?
When is the car show? June or July?
June.
Yeah, game plan.
What's that? What sport is that? Baseball or?
It's about a dad who was a football player.
Oh, football.
Father,
Okay,
and so now he has to. It's a cute little movie.
okay. Well, how about, I don't know, do you want to, how about, what do you think of this idea? One of us works on activities for June, someone else works on activities for July, someone else works on activities for August, and at our next meeting, we just come together with what we got. Does that work?
I'm just gonna put together a list of things.
Well,
for all, yeah.
I'm okay.
I think we should put a list of, ideas together.
I think that at least we should have, I mean, we're talking, our next meeting is in May. So I think we should have at least June's lined up before our next meeting. Because you have to get people to commit and
I think June.
I'd like to take all the dates to them and hope they can,
to,
to whoever we reach out to, whether it's edible classrooms, can you come to these 3 days? If not, which ones can you? And then keep them, we need to create like a binder of, because it doesn't exist, we don't, the contacts is a hurdle that we need to get through.
I actually made one. I made one for Parks and Rec when somebody, I forget her name, she moved away, she was on council and she did, I made her a binder. I bet Mark still has it in his office. I'll ask him.
And I know when we did edible classroom last time, I went around, so it wasn't different businesses and tea buckets.
Yes, I did that too.
They were already there, encouraged by the copies of theirs that came.
Have we ever connected with the county parks on that? To see if they could support, offer anything?
They talked about reaching out to Speaking Up people one time.
Okay.
I think Sylvia did, do you remember that?
I remember.
But I don't know if it ever became of anything, yeah.
That's as far as.
County parks. Event stand resources, I don't even know what to call them.
And we have it at popcorn. Was that your popcorn machine?
That was from the Dream Center, yeah. We can still use that. We have a snow cone and a popcorn machine that we can use. I'm not comfortable with the cotton candy thing. If someone wants to do that, we'll get someone to do it, but it's not me.
Stop, but it's a little scary.
So hard candy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this little, looks like Pop Rocks kind of stuff going in there and it, yeah. So yes, the Dream Center does have, a few machines, the popcorn and the snow cone at the very least. So things like that, the Dream Center also, we can include the popcorn. The Dream Center can provide those at no extra cost.
We could definitely advertise like refreshments.
Right.
Under that.
Yeah, well, snow cones and popcorn, I would, yeah, because we're not gonna have like water bottles and things like that. It's hard for us to get water bottles. But that might be something like a park expense. Do we buy 4 cases of waters and have for whoever's going to the event that time? Is anybody off the top of their head able to go to the June 14th event at this time?
I mean, make sure I have the schedule. I don't know. I should.
And then training for the projections. So last year, we were told that the people who did run them would not be available this year. So some of us would have to be trained to run the machine, the projector. I was under the impression Public Works is gonna set it up and tear it down, and then we just kind of push play, put the video in, push play, and adjust volume if needed. Is anyone willing to learn that, or?
Yeah, I think we should. I think it's a good idea.
I do too, honestly. I was kind of wondering if we could even get them to bring the projector in here while we had a normal meeting, and then just did a quick 5-minute, put it in, push the button, let it go kind of thing.
I actually know how to put it together. It's not gonna be a quick 5-minute in here sort of situation. But there is a set of instructions. Public Works only set it up for us one time, the other times we set it up ourselves. So you should find out if that's something Public Works is willing to do.
Okay,
It's not that hard, but it is.
a lot.
Yeah, like the actual electronic part is like, it requires a table and it's heavy, like it is a lot, yeah.
A generator, like all that stuff.
I didn't think about that, yeah, probably because we don't have to use the generator.
Yeah, they did it Fourth and Locust. Maple, they were able to run an extension cord from a building, but in Maple, I couldn't, like, I had to run the popcorn machine, and then we had to disconnect it to run the movie because
So
of the
the
power
power's a
breaker.
huge issue at some of the parks.
Yeah, most of them actually. At Locust, I'm not sure if they use a generator also or not. Those are things we need to know if Public Works already knows what they're doing on these days or where we need to step in there.
And he's gonna contact Public Works and find that out. Or an email. I'll send it to you.
Alrighty, Town Square. Discuss replacing tulips with native plants, suggest keeping and replanting plants with meaning in the original design. Also want to talk about discuss choosing a member to collect information for a park binder. So Mark already pretty much has one started, I think, or not for this park yet? It's for the other, oh, that's for River Park. Okay. So River Park has a binder that talks about the plants that are in it and how they are cared for and just different aspects. So having one of these for each park, actually, not just Town Square, I think would be ideal. What's there, what's the meaning behind it? We don't want to make changes that's going to wipe away something that was put there for a reason kind of thing. Any thoughts? I think that's, are you here for that also?
Yeah, that's specifically
That's the
what I'm
specific,
here.
Do you
yeah.
wanna,
Yeah.
do you wanna update us or?
Well, you have my.
Yes.
Yes, I made a
I'm a little
copy.
confused.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, welcome, Liz. I know you weren't here before, and Megan was her first meeting. Just to back up a little bit, I came in February to March 5th to the workshop that the Borough Council had and gave them that history that I gave you guys and gave it to you also. So the town square, what's up there, we know from the beginning what was planted there. We know how many bulbs are planted there, and that was all done with volunteers. So going forward, the last 2 months, we've kind of, you can see by all the stuff I'm working on, I have now worked with the park rangers. And the park rangers have 2 captains for that park specifically as far as cleanup. And we did do a cleanup on March 15th in the evening. We spent 2 solid hours with about at least 10 volunteers, and it was a heck of a lot of work, but we took away at least 40 bags of yard waste of weeds. It was just weeds. We didn't get in, and trimming branches and things like that. So the park rangers are committed to helping us maintain the town square. From another issue is last night or 2 nights ago, I met with Create Columbia, and the town gardeners were originally under Create Columbia Town Down Development, and they are 100% behind reactivating Columbia Town Gardeners with the focus on the town square. And that would be where the artistry comes in, the replanting of the tulips, the refreshing of the plants, making changes, going with things that are more native and things that can be done there, but not losing the tulip thing from the standpoint of those were put there and they have a reason why they come up, and they do add the color and the vibrancy right on that corner. So definitely still want to go with plants that are easy to maintain and native and attract wildlife and, hummingbirds and all the pollinators, all the things we want to do. But, and along with Great Columbia, not only willing to have the town gardeners, they've also allocated $500 to kick it off, to get some money in a special fund within their organization that we can start rolling with the fundraising and doing the things we want to do. One of the good things that came out of the workshop going back to March 5th was discussing the fountain itself. I know for sure that we can get the fountain that's there up and running for this season. I know we can fix the pump. Michael, my husband, and I have checked it out, and we can definitely fix and put a new pump. It would be a new pump, get it working, and we're willing to maintain it going forward from that meeting on March 5th. I kind of threw it out as kind of like a, hey, well, if you don't want that fountain, how about a bigger fountain? And I thought, and to my surprise, the mayor said, yeah, that's actually the best idea I've heard tonight. So I was like, whoa, okay, well, we can always go bigger, because actually from a
What came out was it was the wrong surround. I didn't know that beforehand.
no, it's not the wrong surround. It was what we could afford at the time. Okay.
Well,
And it was
not
a,
commercial.
no, but it worked fine originally, and it was $1,000, and it was donated by the council president at the time. So it had meaning, and it meant something to those of us who worked up there and put the time to put it in and raise the money to do all the rest of it. So yes, proportion wise, it could be bigger. It could, a commercial fountain would have, scale wise would be great. It could introduce the art factor that we were talking about, and we could have, but again, it still has a pump. It still has to be maintained, and someone has to work on it and take care of it. But the fact that everything was originally donated, the fact that the borough has to put a little bit of time and effort into it going forward, hey, be glad that people took the time to originally buy it and get it going. Yes, we have to keep it going. It's the same issue as these parks, other parks. Volunteers can only do so much. The borough also has to find the time within their budget and their manpower to make sure it's swept, the trash is emptied, it looks good. Because if a park looks bad, that's when people start to say, oh, hey, that's the problem with that park, is it looks bad and it's being filled with, all kinds of people, and it's being abused because it's not being maintained. It has to be maintained and cared for. So I guess that's where I'm at. I'm glad that we have, in summary, we have people who are on board to help maintain it. There are people who are willing to do the fundraising for anything we decide to do going forward. And it will take people to keep it going. And we need younger people too, because most of us who are doing it have been doing it for a long time. So again, we have to find a way to reach, the newer families, the younger people. And like we did with Angie's daughter, people who are Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, whatever. That's going to be key to keeping it, going for the future generation, because we can only do so much. It ends up that people also have to care about it. And that's just one part, but it's a small area, but it's still going to take a lot of effort to keep it looking good and functioning. But I'm excited about the progress we've made in the last 2 months.
And you did make a list. Do you remember at Borough Council meeting, Peter Stahl
Yeah.
asked about, that you would show him a list of, on this date, this person's going to be looking. Do you remember how he said?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, I have a list. It's just being checked off. It's like we're moving along and we're getting things done. And that's what he asked, if it could be done. I'm like, yeah, we can get this done. I'm going to get it done. And I know people who want to help. You just have to ask them and get them involved. There are people who have never been involved in anything because they never knew that there was an opportunity, or they were never asked. Sometimes it's just a matter of asking people.
Well, tell them we have other parks too.
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to scare them, Barbara. I just want to go ease them into it. But and you were saying about help with your Friday events or your other events. Create Columbia it's all artists, and they are already doing tremendous events. So from an artist standpoint, if you need music, you need face painting, you need all these other things that you're thinking about doing, Create Columbia has people who are already doing things. They're kind of doing, they're working it beside you, but you don't know it. Like they're doing these things and no one knows that they're also working very hard to bring artists and events to Columbia.
Who's their contact person?
We can find out from Kleber and Theisel, but they have a work.
Just drop me an email.
Yeah, I will. And now I'm on their board because I went to the meeting. So I'm their contact for this specific project, the town square. But I was originally on it 20 years ago when we did the town square.
So
So
you already have a binder with for Town Square in that binder, right?
From the original construction and stuff, yes,
We
and,
have copies of that here to keep in the office of that binder.
well, it's,
Yeah, I would love to see the original plan.
yeah, if you want to see the original plannings and stuff, yeah, I have that. It's not anything thick. It's
Yeah, that's
very,
what I
very
did.
simple. Yeah, the original, what was planted there, and it was, the things that did well, some things did, it's like any garden, you're going to edit it out, and there's new things that have been coming along, and certainly with your knowledge, Megan, and our background too with native and trying to keep things as far as, low drought or tolerant and all that stuff.
And be critical.
Yeah,
Be critical in the beginning.
Yeah,
So
well,
it don't
you
have
see-
to be later.
no, and what happened down at the river park with the areas that were supposed to be natural, and it got looking weedy, and then next thing you know, everyone's tearing it out. It's like, whoa, 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 like, we don't want weedy, but we also like native, so we have to find a balance there between looking good and helping the environment.
Tulips are looking beautiful.
Thanks, I am so surprised, I think this year with the extra rain, because last year we know we had drought at this time of
Yeah,
year.
I was curious about what was being brought up at the borough meeting about tulip bulbs or something not being like there. I didn't quite understand.
Oh, you mean what Mary said?
I don't know who said it.
Yeah, she was making sure that we knew that the Snowdrops of Hope was for was the memorial flowers for those who, the tulips were not necessarily earmarked for that, right? But they were.
No, that's not a correct statement, and I'm not gonna,
I think it was more that the tulips had been in so long that the bulbs were not actually going to bloom anymore. That's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
no, I didn't get that. Just the squirrels, some of the squirrels took them away. I didn't get.
I'm not sure what the point was of making that statement. I felt like it was more of a dig, literally a dig.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure.
There were bulbs, and as part of those bulbs, the Snowdrops of Hope. So the Snowdrops are the first ones that come up, but they were planted as part of the 2,902 total. So the Snowdrops are one part of the 2,902 original plantings, and now what's still there is just what has survived for 20 some years. And thankfully, you see which bulbs are the hardiest, which ones we know going forward, they
I
might be
was
the.
under the impression that there was like a lifetime amount of like on the bulb that I didn't understand, which is why I asked.
There in areas where like Longwood Gardens and places where they look really good, they take them out every year and replant fresh.
So it would be every year that the bulbs?
No, I'm not. I am not advocating that. I'm just saying if you.
I think my question was.
Yeah, no, yeah, the bulbs anywhere where the bulbs look really good, and they're blooming like amazing, it's because they go through and each year they replant fresh bulbs in the fall so that they're sure in the spring that they have this amazing display. But we don't have to go to that lengths, of course, but we could do. No, because again, that takes. I mean, well, there's not enough. There wasn't anyone who stepped forward to do that, and they looked pretty good for a long time. So it's like, hey, and sometimes they naturalize, as you know, and they could use that. But it was always meant to look like an amazing array coming in the town right there. Yeah,
So
yeah.
there are.
No, that's what they do. They have that. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
So there are plants that are currently, they're no longer there, but were part of the original design.
No, the original plans were carried out and executed and done. It looked amazing. But what happened was just those of us who originally were involved, you had to move on. There's other things. Life comes up. People pass away. People move away. Just kind of like you're saying, people, you give up because sometimes it's not going, the way you want or whatever. But it was always meant that someone else would continue it. But really it's from a lack of just maintenance up there that, and Kathleen and Kit did a wonderful job all these years. But that's only two people. I mean, it needs a dedicated crew during the summer. Again, maybe summer help. On the borough used to get summer help for some of these things with weeding and trash and painting curbs and all that. But I don't know why that's been dropped. But summertime is when you need the extra help. And really, it's hard for the highway crew to do much more than they do during the summer. That's their busy time. So that's where it just kind of got. The neglect was there, but no one. Kathleen luckily stayed by it and did what she could, but the rest of us just, you kind of have to, well, I'm self-employed, so you have to focus on your own stuff sometimes.
So is there anything that's missing that isn't there anymore that was part of the design? Like the Snowdrops of Hope, are they still growing there?
Yeah, they still come there, but what needs now is it needs refreshed. There's plants that need to come out. They've not done well, whether it's been from the snow or salt or whatever it is. There's stuff that grew that is too big, or things that were planted because someone felt obligated to put it there, or, people had their own little ideas sometimes of what they did up there, and it wasn't coordinated. So now even like the spot that's bare now, there used to be trees and little things over there. Now we're thinking maybe that's a great spot for like a little potting shed, and maybe it's, where you have your tools there, you have your things you need. So like going forward, that's where I was hoping, that's where we get the ideas and think, what do we want to do up there, how we want to go forward. And the donations would largely come from the nonprofit. So you don't have the thing like you're saying over at the park where you're worried about, the borough, keeping it, separate from the organization. There can still have the fundraising, the borough can still help on their part, but it's not coming out of the borough budget. Only, or but a fraction could, and they still put money towards it right now, but
There are things that we can't participate in because of our books.
no.
But did you consider the lights that they talked about?
Not the security lights, no.
Okay.
But we can fix the lights that are up there that stay on all day right now. That needs a photo cell, and we were saying maybe more. We already had run conduit for lights to be uplighting under some of the shrubbery that's there. So we could light it more, but not from a, danger zone area, or, not high security, like motion lights like that. I don't think that's necessary. I think we can light it in a way that if the police want to see into that area, they can, but it's still a nice, appropriate lighting for a garden or a park. It's not.
And are the bricks done yet?
Well, you have it on your thing. I don't think Living Stones has been up there yet.
Yeah, they have. I'm just.
Oh, no, they were there already. That was one of my things I was going to ask
I
you.
was just wondering if it's done yet, because
No, I didn't see it.
Jake, a couple of weeks ago, he said they were already started on the project. He already was up there with them.
Oh,
telling them
no.
What to do.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, it was a colored mortar, so hopefully they matched it up. I didn't even bother looking because I didn't think they had been there yet.
Yeah, I'll double check. I'll see.
Well, if it's done, I'll look at it
That's
too.
what it is, right?
Yeah, no, I just know it's a colored mortar, and that's a little bit trickier than doing other stuff,
Well, they're
but
professionals, so I'm sure they'll,
Yeah.
figure it out.
yeah. Liz, do you have any other questions? I can see you're thinking.
No, just that if there's anything that needs replaced, that was part of the intent of the design, that we find out what they are and what it takes to get them back in.
There's nothing that's missing from the original design. It just would be going forward, changing it and updating the design. And I keep using the word refresh, same, basic layout, but different plants, different things that we know will do well, and making it have the same feel, but with new stuff and not a new fountain this year, but a new fountain at some point, which I've been researching that as far as price and style and stuff like that. But there's, that's just another thing down the road. But it needs a different trash can. Those round benches, always we're supposed to get 2 more of those round benches. They just, they ran out of money. They didn't get the other 2 to finish out the semi-circle there. So that's something Craig Columbia would like to do, is get the other 2 benches. The pots that are still there, I like to fill them with annuals, just to make it full color and life again. So get some potting soil, make it look just really pretty. And then on top of the piers, we used to have the pots on top of there, but those pots are a little too big. So more of a rounder, squattier pot on top of there. So I think there's 6 of those piers that you could put pots on, but that would look pretty.
I'm thinking it might be a good idea just to give you Jake's email address and for you to just communicate with him.
I am, Barbara. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rather than go through.
Yeah,
who it was.
He's going to help us with the electrical part as far as the
So
access.
He knows about the benches and he knows about all that.
Not the benches, but the electrical part, and just that he was here, of course, for the workshop, and he knows he had just started on working for the borough. Actually, I hired him on the borough council, so it goes back. I know Jake a while, and yeah, he helped run the digger and stuff up there when he first put all the stuff in the corner. So yeah, no, Jake's a good guy, and he's always been very, very helpful with these things for sure.
That building that sits right there.
Oh yeah, thanks, Angie. Yeah. That just got sold in the Barbara, the gas station.
The gas station got sold, did it?
Yeah, and they paid a lot of money for it too.
I wonder what they're gonna do.
I don't know. I want to contact them. I was going to try to look it up. I think we know the name of it. It's like some LLC. So I don't need that.
Didn't give you an idea of what it's gonna be.
No, but we'll track them down, you know.
Well, then-
Yeah. No, Megan, don't give me a challenge. I'm like Higgy on the one show that they like they find all the social media stuff and you go looking. Okay, who's this LLC?
whatever plans they have, they'll have to eventually come to planning commission.
I hope so, but you don't know. If it's within the zoning, I've seen people, they just change it and the borough has no say over the change. But anyway, try to be positive. It can only look better. It can only look better. It was always envisioned that would become like maybe an ice cream shop or a garden shop or something that went along with that corner, a little cafe or, you know, something cool. And especially being a classic gas station, like you could do such a cool design, but it's really deteriorating quick. Yeah, okay, Barbara.
It was open, it was what, a buy here, sell here place.
Yeah, they rented movies. We could have movie night up there. Yeah, there you go. We could have, but that would be a cool area again for, you were saying about events, like as far as we have the artists there. We could have music, you know, acoustic guitar, like something really fun, and just kids could come or adults could come. You can, you know, you'd have little events there.
That's right in the middle of traffic now.
Not down in that area, like it could be kind of cool, like just to kind of set it up and
I guess like a shrubbery or something. You could.
Yeah.
I'm thinking right here's 462.
yeah, you know what? But when you're working there, when you're down in that center area, it doesn't have a different feeling.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about the gas
Oh,
station.
no, in the park, Barbara, not on the highway. We won't go out on the highway, but yeah, let's just do
Remember the
something.
beatniks? We would just go to
Yeah.
parks and
Yeah,
tell our poetry.
yeah,
That's how they used to snap it.
yeah. And do dance around, yeah. We get a little wild, but anyway,
Nora, we just really appreciate all your work and how you stepped up.
sure.
And I would like to make a motion that we take back, or I don't know how to say this, take back our recommendation to council that the fountain be removed. And instead, we just allow this group here to just take ownership of the park and allow them to let it evolve into what your vision of it is.
We could ask for goals or something, or?
Goals and objectives.
She is, I mean.
Yeah, her laid out kind of,
Will we get these often, do you think?
I don't mean to be critical, but it sounds like the reason we got here is because there wasn't an ongoing long-term maintenance plan. So I think at the very least, I would love to see something like that. Even with gaps in it where borough or Parks and Recs can even fill in to volunteer. It doesn't have to be completely manned, but I would love to see what, especially because you know about the park and what it needs for maintenance, what that actually even looks like to be a real thing.
Yeah,
Because we certainly never had one.
no,
We
well,
don't know what it needs for the fountain, the pump, long term,
mhm.
not just to fix, but, you know, to maintain.
I can get together with Jake and especially now that we're making progress on some of the stuff we're working on and see what his schedule allows. I know there is money budgeted to the town square already, which I think we should invest wisely and use that budget for the coming year based on even just the whatever we need, a trash can, we need whatever, different, anything that, the things that we're
I think
doing.
how that works is that you would come here and make a recommendation that
Yeah.
council designate a certain amount of money for this.
Mhm.
And then we take it to council for their approval.
Yeah,
But it sounds like she's already able to go to council and like talk about the big
no.
fountain.
No, we
and-
invited her there after she was here because council already approved our recommendation for the fountain to be removed. And I didn't want to appear wishy-washy and say, oh, no, we don't want that anymore. So I wanted them to hear what we heard from Nora. So she was invited there that one time.
Right, but she wouldn't be able to approach them as the committee leader of town council. Why the extra step?
She's
That's
not a committee
stagnating.
She's not a committee leader of town council. She is a community
No,
member.
not town, correct. She's a committee leader for town park, not the town council, but as a citizen to come to council, why does she have to come to us before going to
Because
borough?
because we advise council as to our recommendations is what we think council should do. What if we don't want to spend that money on that? They want to hear what we think. The
But she's just
recommendations-
as valid as us. We are citizens and she's a citizen, and if she's able to go into council like she did, I know that you asked her to
Yeah,
come, I
all I
get that.
can, all I can do is suggest that you read, just go into our codes and read what the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee is to do, and see if you can get a handle on that. I mean, I don't know what else to
So we're
say.
supposed to make recommendations to the borough.
Right,
But
So-
what is preventing anyone else from doing that if she's to take the lead and we don't want team leads? I don't understand, I'm sorry.
okay, this is what we were hoping, is that someone from the community would take the lead on these parks, and that they would come to us and say, we as a neighborhood of Town Square or Maple Park, we would like to see this happen in Maple Park. We, as the Parks and Rec Committee, would encourage them, we would advise them, and we would let them know if we think this is a good idea, yes, we will make this recommendation to council. So that's what that would be.
So we would set her right down, we don't want to do that.
We
Then
could.
it's done. Then she
Well,
can't-
No, I wouldn't, first of all, I won't move forward until I won't I wouldn't have done everything I've done so far if I didn't think you guys wanted me to pursue that. But if there comes the money, which is the main reason you have to come before the committee, is just because if I would be asking you to contribute, or Borough Council or Columbia Borough to be contributing money, you definitely would need to approve it at the committee level first, and then it would be taken to Borough Council. If I am coming in, main thing is communication, like we're saying. I'm communicating with these other groups to coordinate and bring it to you so you know, and so you know what's going on. And if there's something I need you to approve or you need to say yes or no to, then you vote on it, you give it its blessing, or up and down, whatever way, if you say no. But it could still go to Borough Council, and Barbara could say, hey, this came up, it got denied at the meeting, hopefully, but what do you think? And they could reconsider it. So there's a process there so that no one person and no one committee is the final say necessarily. And if everything is going well and I don't need any money, and you see I'm on, and at least what I'm doing. So if someone says, hey, Barbara, what's she doing up there? You say, well, she came, we talked about it, you can watch the YouTube, you can see what she presented, and we were aware of it, and we said it was okay. But this is kind of, because it's government money and it is a public owned area, it has to have that process, which I agree sometimes can be cumbersome, but it's not stopping me, and I'm familiar with it. So I'm not bothered by it, and I'm just glad it's been so positively received. I'm really actually pleasantly surprised.
That's a very good way of explaining it, Nora, thank you.
But I can do whatever.
So, with the condition, would you think, Megan, quarterly letters like this would work? So
That's
that,
for reporting and then for us to decide,
no, just for us to know that there is something going on still. Like what you suggested, that before it was left on the wayside, so how are we gonna know it's being kept
yeah,
up?
but I didn't
To
necessarily
quarterly.
want this, I didn't necessarily want a rundown of what they're actually doing. I was requesting was for 365 days out of 1 year, what is required to maintenance that park for it to run and be optimal every single day for visitors?
Oh, we
And you would like that,
I
I would like to see what is required,
could
because if we can't get citizen help, or, if they're maxed out, they've done all their volunteer hours and have real life to live, feels like we're expected to support them in that. So realistically, I'd like to know what that demand is, because that seems to be the only issue with this park.
Well, James.
Well, it's going to be all parks. That's why I would just go that far.
I would say that too. Nora.
What we're taking on, what you have down the River Park, there's lots of maintenance needs down there. There's lots of maintenance needs everywhere, all these parks. And from being on Shade Tree Commission, I can tell you, I had no idea until I was on Shade Tree Commission, the amount of volunteer work that makes all this work. And I mean, she just did a report the other day, Julie, 380 hours of volunteer time just from the Shade Tree and Park Rangers to help maintain these parks. And that's before all these other improvements go in. So that's a real concern going forward, is that you got to make sure that's in place too. So I don't mind doing the list. It's a matter,
I think that's the only way that we can make that. an
I can make the request from half the borough,
Yeah, the
and,
borough says that they.
but the
they do
volunteers
snow
are,
removal and
yeah.
the electrical, maintenance there. Volunteers do like the planning and the weeding and, all of that stuff. And then if you want equipment, like a new fountain or a bench or something like that, that would have to come.
Yes, my question is, Barbara, if Nora decides that she no longer wants to care for the park, is it us who have to
Yeah,
volunteer?
it will be.
Yeah, so I think it's cool to see that breakdown of what those duties would be, should she decide she no longer wants to do it, and we move forward with this as a recommendation.
Is it Create
Because then it falls
Columbia?
under that.
yeah, Create Columbia,
So Create Columbia is the
nonprofit.
in the community who's taking responsibility for this.
Well, it's going to be one of their committees now, and they reactivated. It was Town Gardeners. It's Columbia Town Gardeners. I have a sign-up sheet here for any of you who would like to sign up. I got 7 people the other night. And that's just a matter of, you just want to be on the list for knowing when we're going to be doing work at the park and things like that. If you want to be involved, and just be on the list. Yeah, and I'll pass that around. But yeah.
So, Megan, what would that look like? What would that look like, that report?
I have an idea what she means.
I think Nora knows what it
Yeah,
means.
just a schedule, a maintenance schedule,
Not
and
necessarily who's doing it,
No.
but just the bottom line, what is required to keep that park looking nice and running? Not if she's doing it, not if we're doing it, but just needs to be
How
done.
many hours,
And
how
do you
many
think, like,
people,
Quarterly,
how much?
semi-annually?
I'm not really sure why you want to report. I don't, it's not this. I want like an itemized list
Yeah.
of what maintenance is.
How often?
Just-
It should
I want
be for the whole-
initially right now, what it takes to do it for
Because
a
it'll
whole
be
year.
different for a whole year.
For
So
3 months.
so like starting today, like a year
For,
from
if we do
today.
a seasonal, I think for the
Yes, it
garden
is
park,
seasonal.
No,
makes way
it's-
more sense.
yeah, it's a year-round thing. But I think Jake answered that, because you put it out to Jake in the email, that one email. He said their main thing is, that needs to be done up there, is the weeding during the summer.
Well, you mentioned some specific things about the pump and things like that. I
Yeah.
would just be curious of what those maintenance things are too. I have no idea
Yeah,
what is required for the fountain to run.
no,
smoothly
someone,
and
yeah.
properly.
yeah, no,
Maybe
it's,
that
yeah.
could be in the binder, that we could just add it to your binder.
I'll give you a binder that sits on the shelf. Yeah, I can do what she's saying. There's things that have to be checked on a regular basis. Yeah. I mean, once the pump's running during the summer, we kind of talked about that previously. Someone has to make sure that the water level is maintained, that it's clean, there isn't
Because it
debris
sounds
in
like
there.
you're
Yeah,
running to do that, just
Yeah.
like you were before,
Yeah.
but at some point, things might hit a lull.
Yeah.
And we might need to support those efforts, and I just want to know what's
Yeah.
supportable.
and that there will be other people trained who can take over if, God forbid, something happens, or whatever.
The longevity
At some
of
day,
it.
if I am not here any longer, if there is someone who knows how the pump runs, that doesn't, yeah. Yeah, like a binder. No one looks at the binder. They have to know, like, it has to also be like people
Binders
have to
are
be
really
there.
helpful.
Yeah.
I think for the longevity of the park and the project, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
ethically our duty to ask that question.
Right, all right.
Okay, so.
Thanks, Megan, for all the extra work.
Sorry, Nora.
No,
That's how we make things great.
I get it. It's not a problem. That's why I write
Mad
so.
at me, it's okay.
No, I've never mad at anybody. No, I appreciate it. That's why I'm here, and yeah, I'll work on the binder.
Okay, so
I have lots of binders I can work on.
we're gonna make a recommendation to council that the fountain stay and that Create Columbia, what should we say, will take over the refreshing and the maintenance of the town square. And they will keep a running log or list of all the maintenance required for a year, so that we know what is required to keep the park running. Is that accurate?
I would add the park rangers to that. The park rangers actually, like I said, have assigned
Park
team
rangers
captain
and
to
Create
that
Columbia.
park. So, and they're excellent. So they know too what needs to be done up there, and have the manpower to do the heavy lifting that needs to be done on a regular basis. So it's going to be that, along with the creative side, along with
Okay.
volunteers
Create
who just want to be
Columbia
involved.
and
Yeah.
help.
It's going to be a real community effort, and we want people to use it. So we need, anyway, were you making a motion? Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I kind of, before you do that,
Okay.
just to, you said about a larger fountain, and it seemed to go over well with them, so maybe not keep the one we have, but upgrade to a commercial one, or something of that sort, maybe.
Yeah, my thought is that we have a year. They've replaced it, they fixed it, they've done the maintenance, they're getting it running.
Mhm.
So let it go for a year and let us do that list like Megan suggested.
Right.
And then a year from now, visit whether or not we want to replace the fountain.
And we'll have to do the fundraising too, Liz. I mean, the new fountain will cost probably thousands of dollars. So, and we want to get, also, that would be feedback, design
There's
wise.
enough time to make those decisions on like the mechanical pump and then the surrounding, that's enough time to.
The current pump that's up there, the current fountain, we've already done that. Yeah, we're just going to get a little bit larger pump, and it'll have a low level valve. So if the water does run low like it has in the past, at least well, the main thing is it'll shut off so you don't burn up the pump. Number one.
This is why we need a list of how it works.
Yeah.
We don't know.
But it's not it's if you have a fish tank, or you have
I just have notes from the board meeting.
Yeah.
Where you explained it to council.
Yeah.
More detailed than you did to us, and
Yeah.
it sounded like, when you were going back and forth with Leo, that maybe I just didn't have an understanding, and maybe that there were still some things that you didn't know about the pump. It sounds like that you cleared them up though, and that
No,
this
he
now
had different
pump
issues
will
than,
work for
yeah,
the
he had a
whole
different
year.
issue than, yeah, well, it'll be turned off in the wintertime. So the fountain is shut down in the fall, going into the winter.
I understand. I
And
guess
then-
all I'm asking is you have this point here where it says you'd like to use the existing fountain for the season.
Yes.
Does this season include the entire year?
The season going into the fall, from now to the fall, starting this month, get it
That'll
run.
be long enough for you to decide if that pump is gonna work.
No, we're going to be buying a new pump.
Oh,
We're
you're gonna
going to donate a new pump, and we will we will keep an eye on the fountain, make sure that the water level, it stays clean, all those things. We're looking at
I
it for the.
understand that now, but it just said get a new pump. I didn't understand if that was a borough obligation.
No,
You
I mean,
guys are-
The pump that's there actually is from 2006, so it was well past its time anyway, so that's a long time that the existing pump that doesn't run.
That
But
was my concern.
Yeah.
Is, will this pump work for the whole year? But it sounds like you've already figured that out.
as long as you watch over it, and you still have to keep the debris out of it, and there's things that have to be done, but that's what we do. Like I said, with our business, we do the
I
rain.
guess and you keep talking and I'm just so confused. Is it the old pump still in? Or
No.
have you already replaced
I've
it?
already, we've tested it, and we haven't replaced it yet, but we're planning to replace it.
So it will be replaced.
When will it be running again? Is it already in the works?
No, I mean, I want, I'm sorry if it's, I don't mean to confuse you anyway. The old pump, we tested the old pump. Unfortunately, it doesn't run, and we would have got it running. We are offering to buy a brand new pump, install it, and maintain it for this season, which would be, you don't run it over the winter, so by the fall, it would be coming out.
Just so you understand.
Yeah.
It said you would still like to use existing fountain, and I just.
Just if we
Yeah, yeah.
agree with
That's
that
okay, no problem.
because We told council we want the fountain, and then if we changed our minds.
So is that what they're holding on to until we go back to them?
No, it's fine. No, me too.
She's gonna get it.
For God's sake, the things that happen.
I would
Yeah.
say maybe you keep it down yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you plan on like maybe next spring revisiting the fountain question?
I think over the winter and into the fall, along with what we currently would have going with the current fountain, we would continue to look at other commercial fountains, get pricing, bring those designs in here in front of Create Columbia, and come up with something that we feel would be a nice replacement, and then figure out, how we pay for the cost, and then it would be installed probably, hopefully it would be nice next spring to have the new commercial fountain. No promises, just it depends how the budget goes and what we find and what we like. And there's plenty of other things that need to be done up there. But the main thing is the care of it over the spring and summer here with the weeding and maintenance of it, that it looks good. Even if we don't replace anything at this point, just keeping it looking good, keeping the weeds down, and planting it with like I said, the annuals, and trying to keep it looking really nice for this season. And then as our budget allows, we'll do the improvements. Yeah. Sounds like a good plan.
So keeping it a start date, when's it gonna be running? Do you think?
When would you like it running, Lou?
April in her paper.
We're gonna try to have it.
Barb can say the motion and then we can vote on it. and then make the recommendation to keep it for the year and have it come back.
Just give me a little bit of leeway with what we have going right now. Say by the end of May that there will be a pump running in the existing fountain, and it will be maintained by the Starks.
And you will be our go-to person if we have any questions or concerns.
Absolutely, yeah, yep. And you can share my email, Barbara, with everybody and phone number. And if anything comes up in the meantime, don't hesitate to call if you have questions about anything that's unclear for the night or.
Are we all in agreement with everything that was said?
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type something up and then I'll send it to you before I send it to council. And if everything looks right, then that's the recommendation we'll put before council in May.
Are you in the middle of a motion right now, though? Did you make a
Is it-
motion?
Not quite, we didn't get that far.
Okay.
It's just- it's
Okay.
just- I don't know if I want to say, if I can say it all. Okay, we're making a motion to keep the existing fountain at the town square on the condition that Create Columbia and the people who work with them are going to take responsibility for the park, the fountain, the maintenance, the refreshing of the park, all the materials, the pumping and fix. They're going to take responsibility for that for the coming year. And then next spring, we'll be getting another report from you as to what all the volunteer hours were and how much money was spent. And then we will revisit again the fountain.
Second.
Dear Lord, what are you signing me up for, Barbara?
You all that, Nora?
Yeah,
You agree?
I'm going to run for mayor next year, so if anybody wants to.
Council going, but what about this?
Yeah.
So, and then I just have something to bring up, with you guys, is I also think what should be monitored during that year is when the fountain is running, the number of people who do their laundry there.
Oh.
And, I think we should be looking at that.
Could we
And
ask
include that.
PE to?
Do we already have a
Yes.
log? Like, is there an existing? Hey,
No,
this
let's
used to
not even
happen
bring
here.
that.
Yeah,
It was one time, and
yeah, well.
for goodness sake, we know someone that's trying to use the town square,
Prove that, then.
but they're there. Number one, it must be desperate, and mentally, they may have some issues. No one uses a town fountain unless they desperately need to use a town fountain. Maybe we need to have a laundromat. And we know, Liz, you have a laundry available for the people
I
to show.
understand all of that, however,
Yeah.
to be responsible, we need to also
Mm.
look at that situation. Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I will. Is there a second?
Okay. We're good on town
Looks like
square?
we're all done at the town square.
Okay. All right, thank you, everybody.
Very much.
You're welcome,
Thank
you're
you
welcome.
for
Oh,
your
here's the
patience.
sign-up sheet, if anyone would like to be on the town square, town gardeners. Just that you want to be contacted if we're doing any cleanup, we're doing anything up there. Yeah, just that you want to be kept on the email list, and if you know of anyone else that might want to be a part of it,
I do not have a green thumb on, but I will.
it doesn't, if you like to, pull weeds, you like to trim bushes, you like to just be up there and just, even keeping an eye on it, and like Barbara was saying, just keeping an eye on it, how are people using it, is it being used properly? And again, I would also, just keep an eye on it, that's all.
So the last thing that we have on our agenda is the exercise trail. I would actually like to wait till more people come about that. We've kind of talked about it before, and it sounds like a good idea. There hasn't really been any specific planning other than we want to connect the community parks with it. Ideally, there could be connect the schools as well with a separate trail, because sometimes they have different things. But other than that, I think that's something we should wait till we have more people to go over. Does anyone want to vote for that or second that or any of that? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
So exercise trail next meeting.
Liz, do you want to sign up?
Yes, please.
Just you guys, don't think about, you got once a week with, the people with the shelter and you do clean up, so.
We do, yes. Yeah, Rotary, Maple, and then side, streets in between here and
Yeah,
there.
I want people know that.
I know. I'm not a camera person. The person who used to do it was very, I'm not that way.
Who that gave, Estella, that's his name, so he's doing her, he's gonna do it, he's gonna help him, it's gonna miss
Mm-mm. Oh, yes, actually. Yeah, we were gonna try to find a way to support him, but I don't know if we were able to make the ends meet. I heard he's going through some stuff too.
Shouldn't be on.
Yes.
This is live.
That's washy.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, I think we can adjourn
yourself.
the meeting. Does anyone want to vote to adjourn the meeting? Yes, that's a one, you two? Okay, two.
Did you get that, Tiffany? Thank you.
So
Thank you, Nora.
with voting, the only thing that we vote on was
Yeah.
recommending the town square back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that, when is next council meeting for that?
May, second Thursday in May.
And is that something that you,
Did she write it on the agenda?
Oh, yeah, it's at the bottom.
no, I didn't mean our meeting, I meant, council meeting